everyone once again. Hope that you have a productive day and are ready to continue enjoying our conference. You got a lot to look forward. And our next topic will help you to find the right measurement of a B2C e-commerce product success. I just remind you that you can put your questions in Q&A session on the right side of your screen, and you can have any discussion in chat section. And now I'm happy to introduce you our speaker, who has a great working experience from an engineer in nuclear physics in scientific center to working in the theater and being the founder of dance team that won prizes all over Ukraine. Now she perfectly combines the role of chief business analyst and product manager in EPAM with traveling. Just imagine, she has already visited 100 cities in Europe. Please welcome Ievgeniia Popova. Zhenya, by the way, I'm just curious, how do you choose even your new profession?
That's easy. It's just, came the same way as everything else. What should be done in your life. It's easy.
Thank you. Let's start.
Okay, let's start. So, 9 years ago, in the beginning of my BA career, during the kickoff meeting, I challenged the business owner with a question. What are your business objectives for the upcoming year? What are your business needs? Well, we need to increase the revenue by 20% this year, he said. After that, I had session with other stakeholders and asked them questions about their needs. And they were happy to come up with plenty ideas and features they need for their product. And then the dedicated product owner, who's supposed to be the only contact point for our team, was assigned. And what happened next? Product owner just shared the backlog of stories, which had nothing to do neither with business requirements nor with the stakeholder requirements. I was desperate because, I was taught that to ensure that solution delivers value, you need make sure that your solution requirements support business requirements. But I cannot trace it, so I cannot say if it does. So what did I? Actually, nothing. It's not a success story. My team just implemented what was asked by product owner because our project manager said so. And you know what? 40% of features that was implemented in that release were never used by users. And the revenue in the end of this year was pretty far from what was expected. Years after, when I started perform product owner and product manager role, I recalled this case several times, even though I had marketing competitors analysis results and even have access to the end users. I experienced difficulties to come up with the features that satisfy the business needs, because it still was not clear to me how to ensure that feature will bring us closer to the business objective. I struggled to find some base to validate my assumptions. And now I can say that the product data serves the perfect base for that. So today I am going to share some well-known best practices as well as my personal findings about how to measure the product success. What metrics should be measured for B2C commerce product? How to choose the features to impact those metric values, and how evaluate if a feature was successful. So Daria has already shared some information about me. That's all true, but I would also like to add a little more professional credentials. So my name is Ievgeniia, and I have more than 9 years experience in IT, performing business analysis, consultancy, and product management activities. And I was part of success for more than 20 commerce solutions in different domains that were delivered for enterprise companies from US, from United Kingdom, and European countries as well. And I'm certified business analysis professional, which is from IBA. I am a certified safe product owner and product manager in Skilled Agile, and I am certified SAP Commerce Analyst. And today I'm eager to share my experience and lessons learned with you. So let's start. If I ask you a question, tell me if your product you are working on is successful. What would be your answer? Yes or no? Whatever answer you have, yes or no. Now I would like you to think about why. Why do you think so? So what comes to your mind? Maybe you think about if it is popular. Maybe you think about if the revenue is big enough or something else. So there is no right answer. It's just something to think about because even on similar e-commerce B2C products, you can have different metrics and KPIs for product success. And of course, all of you faced with metrics and KPIs, but let's have a look on these terms from another perspective. So imagine you drive in the car and you need to keep an eye on the car dashboard. Why do so? So you need to have an understanding how you're going on, right? Like how your car is going on. So metric is just the term for a number that describes what's going on. And product metrics are about the numbers that describes what's going on with your product. It's measurement of something. And now you are continue driving and see these road signs. You need to adjust your speed to drive in the line where you want to drive. The same in product management. KPI stands for key performance indicator and represents some target value we want to achieve. And of course, speed is not the only example. So direction is also important. In case you don't know where you are, it is pretty much difficult to get where you want. Imagine your life without GPS. You obviously can survive without it, but it would take much more time to reach your destination. And data can give us an understanding of where we are and if we are going to our objective or in a vice versa direction. Product data can give us an understanding if we allocate our resources like time, money, efforts correctly, or we need to change our strategy. Effective business analysis and product management is a science. And in order to create strategy, report on results, or evaluate opportunities for improvement, you need to be capturing and analyzing data. You should not rely only on basic metrics, like website traffic or number of conversions for B2C e-commerce. We live in a world that is data-driven, and we can measure whatever we want. We have all the tools and resources to measure anything we need. So when you review your data, you become a better business analyst and better product manager because you can provide, come up with some ideas on how to improve your product. Knowing that, let's come back to product success. talking about B2C software, so we need to take into account several groups of metrics. And I'm pretty sure that at least 3 or 4 groups you know very well. So let's start with product development metrics. Those are delivery on time, resource availability, team velocity, and another group is product quality metrics. It's about support ticket escalation. It's about the data which is usually gathered by the test team, like automation test coverage, like number of test cases completed successfully, number of tests failed, and so on. So I think those you really faced on your projects and products. So I will not stop on those. And now we go to the product usage metrics. So it is about user experience. It's about response time for action that user performs, stability, right, of course, and accessibility. But what about business performance metrics? Actually, in the example I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, there was nothing about business performance because we actually didn't measure those. So actually, like, are you tracking some of them? Are you tracking business performance for a solution? The most popular are daily and monthly active users, conversion rate, net promoter score, and basically there are much more of those in this group, and this is what I focus in this presentation. So the rest of my presentation will be dedicated to this group. So let's dig into that. There are several popular frameworks that you should be aware about when we are talking about some product measurements. But before I continue share this information, I want you to understand that there is no golden standard because the business objectives and KPIs are different. But this frameworks is just something to start with in case you are starting from scratch. So R, not only for parrots, it's actually an acronym for the metrics invented by Dave McClure. And this framework describes the user journey from signing up to being a paying customer and widely used not only for e-commerce products. So A stands for acquisition. This is about how many potential users become aware of your product, such as seeing, downloading app from App Store, whatever. Another A is for activation. It's about how many of these people actually use the product, creating account. Retention, it's about how many users regularly use your product. Referral, it's how many users refer your product to others. And the last for revenue. So how many users buy your product? And as you can see, this metrics allows us evaluate value from customer, not only from revenue perspective, but also from product promotion perspective. It worth to mention the HEART framework. The HEART framework is user-centric methodology that evaluates the user experience across the products. H stands for happiness. This category of metric measure user attitude and satisfaction with the product. Data typically can be gathered by user surveys or like feedbacks. E stands for engagement, and this category of metrics measures the frequency, the intensity, and depth of user interactions with your product. Adoption this category of metrics shows how easily and how often, and how quickly user can adapt to the new feature in the product. Retention, so pretty much the same as in previous framework. This category measures how many existing users remain with your product over the certain period of time. And T stands for task success. So this is about user effectiveness and efficiency of your product with the tasks user do within your application or within your site. So comparing these two, you might notice that hard framework items are placed not in the order of the user journey. And I think it was made in order to create, the abbreviation, which is easy to remember. But in case, for example, we swap happiness and adoption like this. So now you see that they are pretty much similar. And the main difference is that Parrot framework is started from acquisition for new customers, and the hard framework started from adoption. So to me, it looks like the sign that Parrot framework better fits to startups. And as I already mentioned, these frameworks can be used for any products. Now, being more specific to e-commerce, we need to recall the customer stages and consider what first to measure on these stages. So customer stages in B2C e-com, usually discovery, consideration, conversion, retention, and advocacy. So let's start from the first one. So what to measure on the discovery phase? The main goal here is to make people notice your product. And here, what data you need to track. How many times your advertisement has been shown? For example, in social media, in paid Google advertisement, inside other products of portfolio. And this is about creating impression of your product without being basically inside your product, right? So it's like what is said. Another data set, right? It's how many users have you reached. So like how many users actually visited your site. For example, to find this out, like how many customers go to the site through marketing email, you can use email click ratio. And it shows how many of your email subscribers who actually received and opened the email clicked and went to your site. So the same logic is can be applied for evaluating the effectiveness of the advertisement. So you can base your calculation on the number of times your advertisement has been shown and number of actual clicks. And, how to impact those, right? So you can positively impact the click rates by creating well-designed emails, well-designed promotional materials, like including mobile-friendly design is also very important. So you can add strong call to actions and good subject lines in your emails so that people are interested. And after that, you can also review the audience you are trying to reach and challenge yourself, like if this audience is basically your target audience, because sometimes advertisement is shown to the not right people, to the people who will never buy from your site because they are not interested in it. They are not your target audience. So you need to double check this as well. And also it can be helpful to find more marketing channels, like maybe cross-reference links in similar products, or for example, asking influencers to promote your product. Do you think it is helpful to know how much you are paying for acquiring your customers? So if so, I would suggest you to calculate the customer acquisition cost. Because as a store owner, you know you are going to have to invest in email campaigns, in paid search campaigns. So it's about spending money and about spending resources. And you need to ensure that your marketing investments brings value, brings you traffic, and ultimately brings your sales. So if the cost of those campaigns outweighs the total revenue from the orders, then you are making poor use of your investments. And so it's also important to compare this customer acquisition cost to the average order value. There is also another formula called cost per acquisition, which measures almost the same, but simpler. Compare these two, I would say that CAC is more accurate, but usually product managers on outsource doesn't have access to the information about salaries, and can't have access to the total cost. Because those marketing team usually on client side. So if it's the case, then CPA works perfectly fine, I think. You need to analyze the data and decide where you are going to invest: in email campaigns, in paid search advertisement, or something else. Okay, now we came to our next stage. It's consideration stage. So what to track on consideration customer stage? What is it about, right? So consideration stage is the stage where you want to know how many users that visited your site actually engage with the product. It can be site, right, or some mobile app, whatever. So you need to understand if they actually engage. So here we want people visiting our site, viewing its page, spending time on the site, spending some surfing the site, right? Download some information, clicking some links. So that's what we are trying to achieve here. So the metrics should be set accordingly. So how many users visit the site on a regular basis. You can count visits per week, and also unique page visits is important, because it gives you an understanding what basically people are doing. Also number of daily active users, monthly active users, and you can measure on monthly basis, on daily basis, on weekly basis, whatever is beneficial for your product. Also, it is important to understand the duration of users' engagement with your product. For the more interaction they have, the better, right? So in ideal case, you need to understand the whole user experience, the whole user behavior. So how to impact on that? In case the results in this stage are far from expected, analyze user behavior and find out what people like why people don't want to spend their time on the site. So it's sometimes it's just can be resolved with improving user experience. So you need to conduct user experience audit, and good experience can make e-commerce store the place where people like to spend the time surfing, even if they don't need anything. So I think probably most of you have some favorite e-commerce sites, and you can just, I don't know, like kind of a rest, kind of a free time surfing and seeing products, and finally you buy something. Okay, so what to track on the conversion customer stage? So this stage is, I would say, the most important, right? Because here we want our active users convert to buying user, because it is the main goal of e-commerce site, right? So one of the most important metric for my understanding, right, is abandonment cart rate. So, if you face with this, so which feature you usually introduce in case you face with problems at this stage? You put like, hey, you left some product in the cart, but unfortunately, it doesn't work. It can sometimes, but from my own experience, it's not bring you to result you expect. So very important to find out the reason why basically people abandon their cart. First of all, you can improve personalization. Then you can improve navigation between cart and product detail page and product listing page, because sometimes it happens when you are in the cart and then you want to go back to the product catalog, and then but you can't, right? There are several sites, and you probably saw this issue. I don't know basically why those sites I'm referenced to don't fix it, but it's I don't know, it brings me I become desperate at that moment. So make sure you don't have this issue with your product. Then it's worth to mention user experience on the card. So it must be easy to edit your card. So it must be easy to add or remove product, to change quantity, to change a product variant. Make sure it's easy for user to do that. Also, sometimes it happens when in cart you cannot find the checkout button. So add strong call to actions to the checkout pages. And also enable guest checkout. Because, when you want to buy some, I don't know, some small thing, and you need to fill in, I don't know, 20 fields of registration form, and you basically will spend like 20 minutes for that. For you, it's easier probably to go in the physical shop, spend these 20 minutes walking, right, and get what you want. So what even more disappointing is to lose customer at the checkout, not even in cart, but it's like when user already wants to buy the product, but then because of some reason, it just quits the site. And checkout abandonment rate shows that. So what you can do about this? I would say introduce checkout step-by-step wizard. Offer multiple payment and shipment options. I know there are many people that in no case will buy the product in case it will be delivered by the provider they hate to work with. The same about payment. Make sure you introduce popular local payment options as well. Another stuff you can do about that is simplifying personal information and other forms. In case you don't need 20 fields for purchase, then not make user to fill it because it's also impacts really bad. So leave only those fields you really need. Save data user entered on the checkout within the session. So, you know, it's like when you start checkout and say, oh my God, I forgot something. And then you go to catalog at another product and want to check out and you need to fill all that stuff again. So it's where you can lose your customer. Be clear about costs and especially tax and shipping costs because nobody wants to pay more than expected. Offer money back guarantee in case something went wrong. So everyone wants to know that they can return their money if they are not satisfied with product. Well, now we are going to like retention, right? Customer retention stage. So what's we should track here? This is the stage where we want people to come back to the site after the first visit. So it's retention rate, customer retention rate might be helpful. So retention rate is defined as percentage of customer you maintain as customers over the period of time. So the higher this number, the better you are doing, the better you provide, the better service you provide, right? And it's important to also remember to subtract your new customers from the customer count when calculating this. Because those new customers are also important, but this metric focused on how well you are retaining the existing customers, so the customers you had before. Another very good measurement is CLV. So CLV, a customer lifetime value. So it is a total amount you earn from your customers over the length of their relationship with your product. And it's based on average order value, repeat transactions, and retention period. So it looks like pretty complex formula, but it's only at the first slide. The data that you need to use here is available and very simple data set needed for this calculation. So why do you need it? Based on this value, you can decide if the customer lifetime important in your product or not. Because in case it is important and in case you benefit from long customer lifetime, then you need to invest to improve it. And this such KPI that's pretty hard to achieve. So for some products, it's not so important. And like it can happen that one-time purchase gives you more benefit and no need to fight for customer lifetime on your site. Another is repeat customer rate. So this is easy to measure, but also important to do so. You want to know what percentage of customers have made multiple purchases. And this is another way to measure how well you're servicing your customer, because if you're servicing them well, they will be back. Churn rate is a metric to track the turnover of your customers. It measures the number of users lost over the given period of time. So basically, I saw at least 4 formulas to calculate the churn rate. Here, I'll share the simplest, because another one which I used, I don't know, deserve a separate talk, because I was taking those over the period of time, and it's probably I will do a separate talk for that one time. Okay, so we saw metrics on retention stage, but how to impact those. So it is important to delight your customers when they are using your product, because it's always easier to resell to a current customer than to gain a new one. So loyalty programs can help you. You can build not only for the customer, but also for their friends and family. Improving user experience also can help. And of course, quality of support. You need, it's not only about the support team, like an L1 support who speaks to your customers in case of something happened, but it's also about support, like guidance. So your customer needs to be provided with guidance all over the interaction with your product. So it's like live chats, it's good frequently asked questions section, and so on. Okay, so what to track on advocacy customer stage. So advocacy is when we want our users act not like give us not only revenue, but also acting as promoters for our products. That's why it is really important to understand what is Net Promoter Score is. So Net Promoter Score is like shows how likely would your customer refer your product to someone else. And based on the NPS numeric value, you can like put customers into 3 categories: detractors, passives, and promoters. And the more promoters you have, the better. As you see, so it's not like, for example, in case we ask a customer evaluate our product from 1 to 10, and they put their marks. It's not like, okay, like first 2 will be detractors and like the last 2 will be promoters. So you see, in case a person is not satisfied, he will tell everyone. He will tell everyone that you should not use this product. And in case he satisfied, he will tell, I don't know, 2 people around himself, right? So that's why from 1 to 6, so evaluation from 1 to 6 actually not a good evaluation. And we need to fight for people who are actually promoters. Okay, how to impact on that? As you may guess, ask your customers, because only they can give an answer why they like or they don't like your product. Okay, why it is beneficial to use data in business analysis and product management? Well, it allows you to keep an eye on what's going on with your product, as I already mentioned. And of course, using data doesn't keep you 100% on the safe side. The product still can fail. But you see, it is failing, you can stop it. So that is the case. With continuous measurements, you can stop it on time. Then you can decide if it what's needed to improve it. You can maybe change your strategy or just introduce some feature, or probably even retire the product before it's too late. As you see, there is a lot of data that can be used to form your decisions. If you had to pick 2 or 3 or pick the main focus area for your product, where would you start? What if tomorrow you join the project that doesn't have any product metrics? Which one should you introduce? Which one should you start with? Well, this is my suggestion. First of all, start with analyzing at which steps of user journey you lose your customers. Try to find the pattern. What customers did before they quit without purchase. So here, this data can be gathered by Google Analytics. Of course, you need specialists in that, so you need dev team. And once you find it out, you need to analyze it, right? So analyze, for example, in case they can't find the right product, then you need to improve your search. In case they not succeed in finding some spare parts for the product they buy before, so introduce the cross-sell, upsell. Maybe they faced problem with payment, so improve the user guidance for that. So that's how it should work. As a second step, I would define what brings more business revenue, recurrent purchases or new customers, because of course everything is important, right? But you need to at least start from something. So for example, there are some domains mostly with expensive goods, like where products cost a lot, in which user have long consideration stage. So they are looking, they are comparing before they make a purchase. And it, for example, it can be a car or a house. The purchases that user make like 1 or 2 times per life. So it will be not beneficial to build loyalty program or introduce recurrent products feature. It is important to acquire more customers in that case and convert potential customers to actual buyers, right? So metrics you will set should be focused on those. You also can benefit from partnership with some other e-commerce stores. For example, in case your e-commerce site sells houses, right? Then you can make partnership with some domestic appliances, furniture store, electronics store, and provide vouchers for purchase in those stores. So that's like feature set that you can focus on. Another stuff, if you are, for example, in food domain, right? So it is important to have returning customers. And this is where the loyalty program works well, where the recurrent products works well, because you can save users time for making the order. And it is very important for customer. And the third one, reach out the end users, because all the data you can get from product, this is fine, but it's also important to hear the customer voice. I know that sometimes it is hard to speak to user directly. Well, you can use the data from L1 support. You can analyze and find out what are the most frequent complaints. Also, in the world of social media, trying to find out what people say about your product. So, and at least you can launch survey within your product. And the most important stuff is use this data to make improvements, because it's not only about analyzing, it's also about fixing the issues. So you can do it, and I want you to give a try. And if you try, it would be nice if in a year or two you remember this talk and share results with me, like if it made a significant impact or not at all. So basically that's it, and it's time to find answers on your questions. Q&A.
Thank you a lot. There are so many tips in your presentation. So the questions. The first one was, what tools do you use to measure metrics?
Okay, yeah. So this deserves another presentation as well, because it's really interesting. So currently on my current assignment, right, we use Google Analytics and Tableau, because Google Analytics is important to track user behavior and to gather data from each step of user journey. Another stuff is how to set up, because what I did, I made a specification of what I want to track, right? So it's like, okay, I want to see, we need to put tracker at this page, and I need to see like what happens after user goes here, right? This is about Google Analytics. So I haven't set up it by myself, but I have defined metrics I want to measure and places within the site I want to gather the data from.
Great, thank you a lot. And here is the next question that I think connected. So Antonio asks, how easy is to get the data from the customer, because it seems that usually they take it too sensitive and not share it with us.
Depending on what data. So if it's about like product, like feedback on product, on service and so on, then just launch the survey. And what worked well in my product, so we just gave loyalty points they can spend, they can redeem on the site, so that encourage them to fill in those surveys, because nobody likes surveys. You need to get something for that. And in case we are talking about the customer data, like demographic and so on and so on, so you can and another stuff is opt-in. I will tell about that also. So about users, demographic data and so on, you can, there are several tools like built in the browser. You can use those. I can put in comment after this talk the exact list. And or you can ask from users, right? So put all that stuff in the account and ask user to fill in account. So nudge them to give this data to you, if it is useful, of course, because sometimes like you can gather and not use, don't use it anyhow. And also you need to encourage users. So give them something they want to. Give them, I don't know, promotional voucher. Give them loyalty points. So that works like this. And yeah, and about opt-in, so also if you want to send marketing campaigns, right, which is really important, so you need to understand what is the best timing for that, what is the best like how often should you do this for specifically your target segment, because for different target segments it can be different stuff. And also how do you send, you measure, and you see how many clicks you got, and then you analyze if it was good timing or not, and then you adjust. So that's how it works. You try, you analyze, you get the data, you analyze the data, you adjust.
Thank you. And the next question, how do you create the metrics to validate your hypotheses? Do you use personas for that?
Oh, okay. So yeah, about hypothesis and also another stuff, right? So it's about introducing new feature, or about building like initiation phase of this of our product, like startup. So we can't use like product metrics data. We can't use data. We can only set metrics, and then once we launch the product, we can measure what we got. So this is about design thinking. From my own experience, like how we validated our hypothesis. So it was about converting catalog to the basically e-commerce. So it was just catalog, which was shared to business partners like retailers who buy and then sell in their physical shops our goods. But there was no e-commerce, neither B2B, neither B2C. And hypothesis we had is like with all that COVID situation, convert this catalog to B2C e-commerce site, and to acquire basically a new customer segment, to sell directly to customer. And what has been done, we just put the add to cart button, and we agreed with our partner stores that we will show the list of partner stores. And we measured how many clicks has been done on that add to cart button. And of course, we don't have any online, right? That's why we redirected to our partners. But that's how we get an understanding if it is popular, if users basically want to buy online or not. And after that, of course, we made POC, and like orders was processed manually. And after that, it was added like ERP, integrated ERP system to this e-commerce site, and it was like full capabilities e-commerce site.
Thank you, Let. We unfortunately have no more time, but we have more questions. I think that we can review and answer the questions after the session, if you don't mind, in the comments on the platform. Thank you a lot for a great presentation, for great tips. And guys from the audience, we have 5 minutes break, and I will be happy to welcome you on product management mock interview. Ievgeniia, once again, thank you a lot.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.